Good morning. Welcome to the home of the Calgary Unitarians. Whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are on your journey of faith or search for meaning, welcome. If you are visiting for the first time or the first time in a long time, know that we are grateful to have you with us. We come together in beloved community to grow in wisdom, welcome and deepen relationships, and act for a just and sustainable world. Now, wherever we are, let us remember and acknowledge the traditional territories and languages of all whose ancestors were here before us. We recognize our responsibility to be stewards of this land and acknowledge that we do so in cooperation with the Blackfoot Confederacy, for whom this Treaty 7 region of southern Alberta is traditional territory. The people of the Blackfoot Confederacy are comprised of the Siksika, Piikani, and Kainai First Nations, as well as the Dene First Nation band, Tsuut'ina, and the Nakota First Nation, also known as Stoney. Alberta's Nakota First Nation comprises 3 bands, Bearspaw, Chiniki, and Wesley. Mohkinstsis, the Blackfoot word for what is now known as the City of Calgary, is also home to Métis Nation of Alberta, Region 3. In offering a land acknowledgement, we honor those who have long been the stewards and accept our shared responsibility of being good caretakers. We acknowledge that Treaty 7, signed September 22nd, 1877, was entered into as a collaboration between settlers and Indigenous peoples, making us all treaty people. My name is Carol Yankee. I use the pronouns she and her, and I have the privilege of serving on your Board of Trustees. This congregation is special to me because of our shared principles and the opportunity for spiritual exploration that draws from many sources, including wisdom from the world's religions, and in doing so builds tolerance and community. Please join us after the service for coffee in Wickenden Hall, and for those of you joining us by Zoom, a link to a virtual coffee hour where you may meet in small breakout rooms will appear in the chat. And now back to Reverend Shelley.
Thank you, Carol. Carol filled in today. Our dear Jeff Grutz is struggling with COVID. So they traded places this week. So we appreciate that. And we certainly wish him a lot of people out. My intended worship associate, Laura Shannon, also, her family is dealing with COVID. So our numbers are continually impacted. This is just not going away anytime soon, is it? Wishing everyone well. Well, good morning. I'm Reverend Shelley Thompson. My pronouns are she and her, and I am the interim minister here at Calgary Unitarians. Welcome, one and all. Today, in our greeting, let's give a great big shout out to all the wonderful moms and mothers in our lives, past and present, whether they're in person, in spirit, or live on in our hearts. We're going to rise in body or spirit. We're going to face our camera to greet our audience as well. And this is your big chance to look into the camera and wave and shout, "Hi, Mom!" Hi, moms. Hi, mothers. Good morning, everybody. We love you all. Happy Mother's Day to the mothers. And greet your neighbors, one and all. Good morning, friends.
So, Sheila suggested
So good to see you.
Here again and do hosting Sunday.
Hosting of the
For coffee after on today because of the tea party. But I forgot my host code at home.
Good morning to you.
The code.
Always makes me want to burst into song like Debbie Reynolds.
Okay. When I get a chance, I'll
We led our chalice this morning
Yeah.
with the words of Richard S. Gilbert,
I knew it.
a much beloved minister in his day. We remember him well. I'm also going to light our children's chalice for us, because they are going to go downstairs soon and take our flame with us, with them.
So this is for
May we be keepers of thy flame, O flaming chalice, symbol of a free faith. Burn with the holy oil of helpfulness and service. Spread warmth and light and hope. Warm hearts grown cold with indifference. Light dark places with justice. Rekindle hope in despair. May we bring fuel for the fire of love. May the oil of loving kindness flow from us to thy leaping flame. May hands of service shelter thee, that no winds of hate may extinguish thy brightness. May thy light and warmth be eternal. May we be keepers of the flame. Let us worship together. Happy Mother's Day. As the Tibetan Buddhists say, we are all mother sentient beings, all having been mothers many, many times over. All people of all genders can mother, of course, to nurture, to love, to show care and kindness for one another. Today, we honor the spirit of mother love and all those who practice it, widening the circle of compassion, care, and connection. Please join me in singing, along with Rising Appalachia, their song from Standing Rock, Wider Circles.
This is our song called Wider Circles.
Rising Appalachian videos, and thank you to everyone who muttered, sung along, including me. It was a good song, but it's the first time some of us have heard it. And, we're making our way without our beloved Jean Perry for now, but thank you to everyone. We're moving in wider circles, all of us. And I'm dearie Sheila McMaster, and I'm the Director of Religious Education here at the Calgary Unitarian. Woo! And happy to be here this morning. It is Mother's Day, so happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. And I just wanted to do a little shout out from last week as well. We had our maypole outside and we made May baskets. And thank you to Ronnie Jo here today for leading our maypole dance. Thank you, Ronnie. And I'd like to say it was an organized, beautiful crisscrossing of ribbon, but we managed, we got it around the pole. Like it was chaos and interwoven, but in the end it was all wrapped up and that was beautiful. So that was a lot of fun. And, today for Mother's Day, we're talking about mothers, but we're also talking about mother figures. So there might be someone in your life that represents mother for you. It might not be a biological mom. It might be a mother of your heart. So I want to recognize those as well. And also for many of you, Mother's Day might be a sad day. So maybe your mother has passed away or moved far away, and you feel sad about today on Mother's Day. Or maybe you had a difficult relationship with your mom and you have mixed feelings about your mom today on Mother's Day. And so I want Mother's Day to be a day that we honor all those feelings, because that's okay. It's about our moms today, but let's honor all our feelings, because there's a big umbrella there on Mother's Day. And today I have a story for you. It was written by Unitarian Robert Munch. And he used to attend the Unitarian Fellowship in Guelph, Ontario. He says, until the routine petered out when the kids got restless. And I want to say, hey, Robert, you should have brought them here. Kids don't get restless here. They have fun here. So that's what I was thinking. But him and his wife now have 3 adopted children. But what some of you might not know is him and his wife, they had 2 babies that sadly passed away. And that was really hard for them. And so the book I'm going to read you today is called Love You Forever. And it started as a song that he made up during that time. He said, for a long time I had it in my head and I couldn't even sing it, because every time I tried, I cried. It was very strange having a song in my head that I couldn't sing. And so he took this song, and over time when he was out and about telling stories, he realized that the song that was trapped in his head could become a story that he could share with others. And so he took it to his publisher, and his publisher said, this is not a story for children. You cannot publish this. And he said, okay. And he went to another publisher, and they said, sure, we'll publish it. And so at first, they said, this is very strange. It's selling very well in retirement communities in Arizona. It's selling in retirement communities where kids are illegal. This is supposed to be a children's book. And it turned out people were buying it for each other. Parents were buying it for children. Grandparents were buying it for grandparents. Children were buying it for everyone. And it ended up selling over 15 million copies, becoming his most popular book to date. So it's kind of a book for everybody. And for me, it's always a story that touches my heart. And so cue the slides. Love You Forever by Robert Munch. There we go. A mother held her new baby and very slowly rocked him back and forth and back and forth. And while she held him, she sang, I'll love you forever, I'll like you for always, as long as I'm living, my baby you'll be. And the baby grew, and he grew, and he grew, and he grew, and he grew until he was 2 years old. And he ran all over the house, and he pulled books off the shelves, and he put all the food out of the refrigerator, and he took his mother's watch and flushed it down the toilet. And sometimes his mother would say, this kid is driving me crazy. But at nighttime, when that 2-year-old was quiet, she opened the door to his room and crawled across the floor and looked up over the side of the bed. And if he was really asleep, she picked him up and rocked him back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And while she rocked him, she sang, "I'll love you forever. I'll like you for always. As long as I'm living, my baby you'll be." And that little boy grew. And he grew and he grew and he grew until he was 9 years old. And he never wanted to come in for dinner. And he never wanted to take a bath. And when his grandma visited, he always said bad words. And sometimes his mother wanted to sell him to a zoo. But at nighttime, when he was asleep, his mother quietly opened the door to his room and crawled across the floor and looked up over the side of the bed. And if he was really asleep, she picked up that 9-year-old boy and rocked him back and forth and back and forth. And while she rocked him, she sang, "I'll love you forever. I'll like you for always. As long as I'm living, my baby you'll be." And the boy grew. And he grew and he grew and he grew and he grew until he was a teenager, and he had strange friends, and he wore strange clothes, and he listened to strange music. And sometimes his mother felt like she was in a zoo. But at nighttime, when that teenager was asleep, the mother opened the door to his room and crawled across the floor and looked up over the side of the bed. And if he was really asleep, she picked up that great big boy and rocked him back and forth and back and forth. And while she rocked him, she sang, "I'll love you forever. I'll like you for always. As long as I'm living, my baby you'll be." And that teenager grew. And he grew and he grew and he grew and he grew until he was a grown-up man. And he left home and he got a house across town. And sometimes, on dark nights, the mother got into her car and drove across town. And if all the lights were out in her son's house, she opened his bedroom window and crawled across the floor and looked up over the side of his bed. And if that great big man was really asleep, she picked him up and rocked him back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And while she rocked him, she sang, "I'll love you forever. I'll like you for always. As long as you're living, my baby you'll be." Well, that mother, she got older. And she got older and older and older. And one day she called up her son and said, "You better come see me because I'm very old and sick." And so her son came to see her. And when he came to the door, she tried to sing the song. She sang, "I'll love you forever, I'll like you for always." But she couldn't finish because she was too old and sick. And so the son went to his mother, and he picked her up, and he rocked her back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And he sang the song, "I'll love you forever, I'll like you for always. As long as I'm living, my mommy you'll be." And when the son came home that night, he stood for a long time at the top of the stairs. And then he went into the room where his very newborn baby daughter was sleeping. And he picked her up in his arms and very slowly rocked her back and forth, back and forth, and back and forth. And while he rocked her, he sang, "I'll love you forever, I'll like you for always. As long as I'm living, my baby you'll be." Oh. And of course, I'm crying up here because I can't read that story without crying. And I have to say, my mom watches me every week on YouTube. She's at home right now. And at the beginning of COVID, she moved in with me, so 2 years ago, and she's 76. Hi, Mom. Happy Mother's Day. And I just want to say, tonight, no matter how deeply I'm sleeping, please don't crawl across the floor and rock me. Just don't. Love you, Mom. I love you. And so today we have some wonderful things we're going to be doing downstairs. We're going to be talking about mothers and the things that we love about our mothers, and making some secret cards for our mothers. And then afterwards, I hope all of you will join us in Wickenden for our Mother's Day tea. And now, please join me as we sing our children downstairs.
Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the love of God surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go.
Very well. In this community of care, we share our joys and sorrows with one another. We lift each other up and journey together through life with all of its highs and lows. We symbolize this covenant of mutual care by lighting a candle for the joys, a candle for the sorrows, and a global candle for all our relations in the interdependent web and family of life. On this Mother's Day, I offer a blessing from Janet Bowring entitled The Many Names for Mother, Father, Parent. Blessed is the person who feeds and warms, washes and comforts a child, and soothes them in illness, for they shall be called caregiver. Blessed is the person who gives shelter and food, clothing, toys, books, and tools, for they shall be called provider. Blessed is the person who opens doors in the child's experience, who explains the puzzling and wonders at the mysterious, for they shall be called teacher. Blessed is the person who shields a child from that which will wither or warp, who protects a child from abuse and exploitation, who guards against bullying and scorn, for they shall be called defender. Blessed is the person who takes the time to listen, who's there for a child in the darkness, who's aware of the fears, who speaks the words of encouragement in moments of despair, for they shall be called sustainer. Blessed is the person who guides a child in the search for beauty, who encourages them at what is daunting, who steadies them as they explore new experiences, who fires their aspirations and their dreams, for they shall be called inspirer. Blessed are all these persons who help bring an infant along the many paths to maturity, for in them is the future well-being of humanity. Amen. Please feel free to come forward to light a candle or add a pebble to the bowl and join me in singing the meditation on breathing.
Breathe in, breathe
We are all a part of one human family. Mother's Day is a good day for reminding ourselves that we have a whole lot in common when it comes to the need for love, nurturing, safety, and a sense of belonging. We all have worth and dignity. We all long to be free and live our best lives. As UUs, we value human rights. We affirm, honor, and promote healthy families in healthy, beloved communities. Families right at the heart of what Unitarian Universalism is all about. We experience the love, family, and friendship of our congregation, and we hope to give others more of the opportunities to create and participate in such communities themselves. The truth is that this is a lot harder than our own parents and ancestors might have had us believe. We are increasingly aware that in order to transform the world within us, among us, and around us, and beyond us, we must challenge and be accountable for the racism and oppressions that are all pervasive in our culture, our societies, our governments, and ourselves. In large part, this means that we are talking about challenging and changing the power imbalances that spawn injustices and oppressions. We aspire to dismantle systems that are based on power over other people, and to create more sustainable, humane systems that promote shared power with one another. Contemplating power dynamics within the wider context of Mother's Day, it can't be ignored that there are real problems with the traditional binary gender roles and archetypes. Males are characterized as being strong and having more power over others. That power over is built on force, coercion, domination, and control, and it motivates largely through fear and violence. This form of power is built on the belief that power is a finite resource that can be held by individuals, and that some people have power and some people do not. Wrong. Females are described as being weaker and as sharing relational power with others. Power with is built on respect, mutual support, shared power, solidarity, influence, and empowerment, collective decision-making. Power with can help build bridges within groups and across differences. While these traditional views are decidedly unfair to people of all genders, to associate these types of power with a particular gender or certain type of person is just nuts. We know it's not true, right? But sadly, these traditional gender roles and stereotypes still do lead to real-world oppression and violence. It is the most vulnerable among us, women, children, and non-binary people, especially those from marginalized groups, who disproportionately take the brunt of abusive power and control tactics and systems that limit their choices, their access, and their opportunities, often their very lives. When we talk about widening the circle of concern, we're talking about dismantling our own power over dynamics that are built into our culture and learning new ways of generating power with. It includes the power to change, to grow, to learn. And it develops power within, to give people a sense of their own capacity and self-worth. One wonderful example is our work through Calgary Alliance for the Common Good, which is aimed at creating exactly this kind of power with. At its core, our mission here is about connection and right relationships, covenant. By honoring and remembering the stories and the lives lived by those most deeply affected by injustice and by challenges, we are inspired to build more authentic relationships and stay engaged in meaningful action. Last Thursday was Red Dress Day, and a day of remembrance that promotes the ongoing need for awareness and activism on behalf of missing, murdered, and exploited Indigenous women, girls, and Two-Spirit people. And a group of Calgary Unitarians was there, downtown Calgary, to honor and remember those who have been impacted, and to support Bear Clan Patrol, who was sponsoring the event, and all those present. This is what we're talking about: meaningful action, showing up, being present. Turning inward, we know we each have our own complex stories and histories. The poignancy of Mother's Day highlights the moral dilemmas and social predicaments that we all face in deeply personal ways. This year, it's on my mind that the U.S. Supreme Court is set to overturn Roe v. Wade, revoking women's constitutional right to access safe pregnancy terminations. It's a highly charged issue for many reasons. Legal, political, religious, buttons get pushed, just to name a few. For me, discussions of pregnancy and motherhood and women's rights bring up all the things that have to do with families, too. As it happens, I've had more mothers than some people. I've had 3: a birth mother, a foster mother, and an adoptive mother, each important in my life in very different ways. I want to share with you a bit about these 3 women and my grandmothers, because these stories are a good example of how the personal, the political, and the prophetic are interrelated for each and every one of us. My story touches upon a wide range of bigger social issues, including but not limited to immigration, poverty, privilege, class, addiction, domestic violence, healthcare, education, social services, the family court system, family dynamics, mental health, generational trauma, and yes, certainly, reproductive rights. There are no issues that aren't deeply personal to each of us when we think of ourselves as members of the human family and the web of life. My journey with my mother and myself led me at an early age to conclude that I never, ever wanted to be any person's mother. Pets, absolutely yes. I'm definitely a dog mommy. I've been a horse mommy, cat mommy, any kind of animal, really. Love them. Children, unequivocally, no. My choice, my body, my life, my decision, what's best for me. I believe every person has the right to self-determination when it comes to their own body, especially about something so impactful as pregnancy and childbirth. I was born before Roe v. Wade, and I've often wondered what might have happened if my birth mother, Clara, had had access to better medical care, including legal abortion. She was on welfare when I was born. I don't think health care was ever a word that entered her vocabulary throughout her life. She was raised Catholic, and I don't know to what extent that affected her decisions or how much of what happened to her was due to other factors. Currently, I have one mother, my only mom, capital M, Brenda, who's alive and well and present in my daily life, one of my very best friends, I'm very happy to say. She's the person I've always celebrated on Mother's Day, the hearts and flowers and candy, yay, Mother's Day person in my life. Patience of a saint. Kind, generous, warm, friendly. She loves all of you. She wants to meet you. She's going to come visit you. She's promised. They pledge to this church because I'm here and because they love you. Amazing. She's the kind of person who comes out of almost every elevator with new friends. I'm not kidding. One time she even came out of an elevator and tried to hook my brother up with the woman she met in the elevator. Like, Mom. I have learned the very most about what it means to be a mother from Brenda. And I count myself as the luckiest person in the world to have landed with her, winning the mother lottery there. She's undoubtedly one of the very best of all. She's my mommy. Well, Brenda was raised by a mom who was not the most nurturing. Her mother, in turn, my great-grandmother, had 9 children and only liked some of them, you know. And my grandmother doted on her little boy, her youngest, but not her 2 daughters. They grew up on a farm and they worked hard. My mom vowed to be different, and she succeeded in spades. I owe a lot of my personality, my values, my way of being in the world to Brenda's fine example. And Brenda is my adoptive mother. She always said I'm very special, that she chose me, and she believes that God meant for her to be my mom who raised me. My adoptive parents already had 2 sons, and they decided they wanted a daughter. And they wanted to adopt to share their good family, their good Midwestern values, and their successful, upwardly mobile circumstances and prosperity with an otherwise underprivileged child. Some well-meaning fool told her that loving me was all she needed to do and everything would be fine. No, that's not really how it works. Got a bridge I want to sell you. Whew. I was adopted out of foster care when I was old enough to be aware of this unexpected change in venue. I was traumatized by the separation from my foster mother, Jackie, the only mama I had ever known, an extraordinary, kind, amazing woman who gave and gave and gave and gave. I think she ended up caring for over 150 foster kids in her career. Amazing person. She had raised 3 kids of her own. Her youngest, my foster sister, was still at home as a teenager and was my chief babysitter and the person who took me to the park and played with me. And I still think of Terry as my one and only sister. Jackie and her husband were working class folks with really big hearts. Jackie was a full-time stay-at-home mom, and I was the only foster child in the home at the time and the only one who stayed any length of time. I was there for over 18 months. And she was incredibly devoted and nurturing, and I was incredibly securely attached, as we say in the psychology biz. And there were legal complications because my birth mother had been married early in life and hadn't seen the guy in 20 years, but she didn't have documentation of the divorce. Crazy legal system. So we were waiting to see if he might show up and claim me, God forbid. So I stayed with Jackie during that time, and that grounded me in that secure attachment and that love and that wonderful family and home. The system at the time didn't allow foster parents to adopt, and Jackie would have, by all means, if she had been able to. So it was devastating for both of us. She was really, the social worker criticized her for being overly emotional at my departure. The social worker wasn't very nice. She told my adoptive parents I was a monster. Better watch out for that one. But it was a system that just said, you know, you're here today, you're going to go and live there tomorrow. People didn't know any better. I guess they thought you were ripping off a Band-Aid or something stupid. But that's what happened. And so my move over to the Thompsons household, Brenda became new mom. That was her name. And it wasn't the easiest of transitions. I did stay in touch with Jackie, and she made me the most fabulous, fanciful birthday cakes, and we shared Christmases and cards and letters, and I stayed in touch. You know, she died unexpectedly when I was about 21 years old, and it hit me really hard. I felt like I just never got a chance to thank her properly as an adult, or to give back, or to fully express everything that was in my heart. I'll always miss her. So for Brenda and me, we ended up in a sort of tug of war, push-pull. I love you. I'm angry at you. I love you. Go away. My emotional issues did not endear me to my 2 adopted brothers or my dad either. Brenda's an example of a primary caregiver who got a raw deal. I saw her put up with a lot of crap that I dished out, and she never became mean or bitter or resentful or cruel. Quite the opposite. She was determined to love me no matter what. Being a mother certainly didn't look like very much fun to me. Part of the reason I decided to pass on that whole childbearing thing. Oof, what if I had a child like me? Oh my God, one me is more than enough. I sure didn't want a mini me running around, no thank you. I'm not taking any chances with that. Well, in addition to that separation trauma, through all of my personal experiences, my work as a mental health therapist and a minister, I've also come to understand that generational trauma is very real, very powerful physically, emotionally, and spiritually, as I have experienced it in my own life. It interacts with life experience in very complicated ways, and I wish I understood it better. Well, that brings us back to my birth mother, Clara. Clara was first generation Italian American. She grew up near Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania during the Great Depression and the Second World War. My grandfather immigrated to the United States from a very poor country village in southern Italy. He came through Ellis Island in 1906, along with 2 of his brothers. He and his first wife had 4 children together before her death from the Spanish flu. My grandmother, Antoinette, at the young age of 20, there must have been a family arrangement somehow. She was sent for from the same village in southern Italy. She came in 1921, again through Ellis Island, to marry my grandfather, who neglected to mention the 4 kids. Can you imagine? Holy mackerel, son of a fish. She tried to go home, but he wouldn't give her the money for the ship. She was stuck. She had to marry him. And he was about 18 years older than she, so some of these kids were closer to her age than he was. My grandmother gave birth to 7 children, 2 of whom died as toddlers. So my mother grew up in a very crowded home that was shared with not only her family, but my grandfather's brother and his whole family. My grandfather's brother was that stereotypical hot-headed, violent, Italian Catholic, alcoholic dad. Scared everybody half to death. My grandfather was kind, but he was also an alcoholic. He died of cirrhosis in 1946. At this point, my grandmother decided to send Clara and one of her younger brothers to live near Chicago with my Aunt Mary, their half-sister. My mom was only 16, so she effectively lost her mom and her dad at the same time. Truthfully, when I think of Antoinette, I do not like to imagine the life that she led. The challenges she faced, being an immigrant to the United States, away from her family, the sole job of mothering that many people, through the Great Depression, through the Second World War, then her husband dies. Whew, too much. It's no wonder she needed a break when my grandfather died. As an early 20th century Italian Catholic mail-order bride, my grandmother did not have a lot of choices. Her life was hard, and she suffered from depression and alcoholism herself. My mother, Clara, didn't fare much better. She dropped out of school. She never went to high school in Chicago. Got married when she was 20 and had a baby right away, my oldest half-brother, Alan. By all accounts, Alan's dad was an abusive male. Imagine where on earth did she get that idea that that's who you should marry? So it wasn't very long, in fact, at all, before my mother took Alan and went back to Pittsburgh to live with her mom. And my Uncle Carl and his fabulous wife Jane had a wonderful family and supported my mom throughout her life. Clara's life was really difficult without an education, with alcoholism, with domestic violence, on welfare. She was an alcoholic early on in her life, and just so many things that seem normal to her, we now know, are really traumatic and truly awful. By the time Alan was 10, she knew she just couldn't care for him, and she made the decision to give him up in a private adoption. Again, really hard for me to picture, hard to imagine being in that circumstance. It broke her heart, and he never forgave her and never spoke to her again. She gave birth to 2 more sons, different dads with whom she didn't have relationships. Didn't tell her family about them. By the time she had me, at the age of 41, she was in a long-term relationship with my biological father. But neither of them knew it at the time, or in fact, before they died, the DNA testing hadn't been invented yet, and he'd had the mumps as a kid and thought he was sterile. So there was a lot of turmoil around her believing that as an alcoholic, she had blacked out and had non-consensual sex with somebody unknown to her. A lot of shame, a lot of guilt, a lot of conflict, a lot of violence in the home around that time. And again, we had the complications of the legal holdup of not being able to go forward with the adoption because of the lack of divorce paperwork. Had to have been a very painful time for her. While I searched for her, it always was important to me that she had given me up so that I would have an education, that I would have siblings, that I would have a good home and a good life. And I wanted to find her, and I wanted to thank her. But she was ashamed and embarrassed and angry that I had found her. It was supposed to be a secret. And she decided that she didn't like me at all, and she never wanted to speak to me again. And I was young and just not at all skilled at life. And I wish I'd known how to navigate that relationship better, that I could have found a way to make peace with her. I do think that had she known who my father was, the man she loved and was with for nearly 30 years until his death, she might have been more receptive to me. I feel sad that neither one of them ever knew. I often think about how much chance the birth, the foster family, my adoptive family, incredible luck, how much privilege, love, effort, time, therapy, education, and massive amounts of money that it has taken to get me from a second-generation Italian immigrant of a welfare mom who was an alcoholic, who came from domestic violence, to the person I am today. The life I've led of privilege, the family I've had, with amazing, incredible values and ethics who've instilled in me the desire to serve and care for and love others. The ability and privilege that I have to have a career that I love with all of you, working together to make the world a better place. I didn't think I'd ever get here. I really didn't. I struggled a lot. And there were times when I thought, well, maybe it would have been better if I just hadn't been born. But I'm glad I was. I'm glad I'm here with all of you. And that disparity, that journey, that extraordinary, what does it take? It really makes me think about what sounds increasingly hypothetical, this idea of equity. What does it take to create equity for all of the imbalances, all of the power disparities, all of the oppression in our society. It takes a lot. And that inspires me to keep striving to be of greater service, to make a difference when and where I can. And I am eternally grateful that I never have to do this work alone. I have all of you. We have each other. We are a family. And as UUs, we value human rights. We affirm, honor, and promote healthy families and healthy, beloved community. And families right at the heart of what we're all about. So happy Mother's Day to all of you wonderful mothers and grandmothers and great-grandmothers, to all who share power with others who uplift, inspire, and nurture a great, big, heartfelt thank you and bless you. Amen. Ashe. Blessed be. Our meditation time. There's a wonderful reading from Maureen Kilorian. Let us tell stories of mothers. Let us tell the stories of mothers, stories that could be true. Let us tell of warm mothers, soft and round, likely to be found with flour on their nose, and always ready to pour you a glass of milk to go with the cookies on your plate. These mothers are increasingly rare. Let us tell of mothers who are like bubbles of champagne. They surprise your senses, leave you giggly, but when you least expect it, they erupt with an unexpected pop. Stories that could be true. Then there are grouchy mothers, stressed mothers, exhausted mothers, faces lined with worry, and spirits tired and gray. Other mothers are wise and reliable, not prone to many words or a lot of noise, but you know that when you need them, they'll be there. Let us tell of fierce mothers, the ones who love you even when you're wrong. Let us tell also of absent mothers whose memory shimmers at the edges of your heart. Let us tell of distant mothers, cruel mothers, loving mothers, giving mothers. There are walk-away mothers, save the world mothers, too busy mothers. Mothers you cry because you lost them. Mothers who make you cry because you can't. Stories that could be true. May we hold in our hearts the mothers we have known, those who have loved us and those who have tried. May we forgive mothers who didn't get it right and try to release the knots of disappointment, anger, grief, and pain. May we hold in our hearts the truth that mothering, nurturing, is a task that belongs to us all. However old or young you are, whatever your gender, may you make extra room for nurturing in your life this week. May you say something real to a harried store clerk. Give a coworker a genuine compliment. Take time to listen deeply to a friend. May we remember and reflect and create new stories of love and nurture from this point forward, stories that can be true. As we reflect, please accept this musical offering as a time of meditation. This is To Mother You.
This is to mother you, to comfort you and get you through when your nights are lonely, through made in distress, all your unhappiness, I will take away with my kiss. Yes, I will give you tenderness. For child, I'm so glad I found you. Although my arms have always been around you. Sweet bird, although you did not see me, I saw you, and I'm here to mother you, to comfort you and get you through when your nights are lonely, through when your dreams are only blue. This is to mother you.
Now is the time we honor and gratefully receive the financial support that sustains this beloved community and its mission. It's through the hard work and generosity of our members and friends that we're able to continue to build beloved community. And in this technological age, there are so many ways to give. We so heartily thank every one of you who gives on a regular basis through digital means, the things we don't see in our offering basket as it goes around. There are also envelopes available for your in-person contributions, and the information on our slide shows you all the different ways that you can choose to contribute with us. And we thank you to those who are able to pass those baskets around for us as we remember how to do Sunday worship. Our For Others recipient for May is Bear Clan Patrol Calgary. They're modeled after Bear Clan in Winnipeg. The patrol is a community-based solution to crime prevention, providing a sense of safety, solidarity, and belonging to many of its members in the communities that they serve. This is achieved in nonviolent, non-threatening, non-judgmental, supportive ways, primarily through relationship building and reconciliation. It draws its direction solely from traditional philosophies and practices. The services are freely offered to anyone in the community and provide an Indigenous alternative to police involvement. They seek to provide restoration and maintenance of harmony by promoting and providing safety, conflict resolution, mobile witnessing and crime prevention, maintaining a visible presence on the streets, and providing an early response to situations. In addition, Bear Clan Patrol offers sandwiches to the community as a food assistance program. Currently, the Kirby Senior Center is partnering with them to provide those sandwiches. And our For Others funds raised this month are going to support the sandwich program. We need that parent organization that we can make an appropriate donation to a registered, licensed, taxed charity so that we can get our proper receipts so that we stay in good standing. And this way, by supporting Kirby, we let Kirby know, buy sandwiches. Let us support you. We want to do this too with you. So we get to partner with both Bear Clan and with Kirby Center. It's a twofer. So if you'd like to contribute to Bear Clan Patrol Calgary, please indicate that on your donation. Your gifts will now be gratefully received. And please join me in singing From You I Receive.
From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and by this we live. From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and by this we live.
Chalice, but certainly not the flame of mother love of nurturing, of kindness, compassion, and family. We take those with us wherever we go. My dear ones, if you are online with us, there's going to be a link to the coffee chat after our song. And for those in person, our fabulous DRE Sheila has made a Mother's Day tea with fabulous teacups included. And so you definitely want to come and have tea, and there might even be crumpets or something out there. There's this huge, beautiful spread of wonderfulness, and we want to celebrate together this fabulous, important, special day for honoring shared power, power with one another and all those who mother. May we go from this place open to life, expecting to love and prepared to serve. Blessed be and happy Mother's Day. Please rise and bow your spirit and join me in singing, "We Would Be One."